What's good, my pals? But seriously, why is my microphone giving me trouble right now? Anyway, it's Haru here with a totally unique video today, mainly because my resume got rejected. So today we'll delve into the story of the biggest sugar peddler whose product was so high quality it made people absolutely go crazy. He was the one, like Scooby when they showed him a Scooby snack and he'd go totally crazy. Oh Shaggy, I want a Scooby blowjob. For this beautiful story we need to travel to. Where exactly is this place? Let me see if I can guess. Norway. It's Colombia! Look, at the end of the day it's the same thing. You give Colombian kids 80 kilos of coke and they have a great time making snowmen, just like in Norway. I have successfully built the greatest snowman in all of recorded history. Not so fast. Pablo Escobar was a very powerful man. Starting from humble beginnings with small-time frauds such as forging diplomas, he ascended to command an astonishing 80% of the world's coca market, amassing a personal wealth of $30 billion. This remarkable feat earned him a spot among the 10 richest individuals globally, all attributed to his vast empire, while concurrently being one of the most wanted individuals across the globe by the United States government. Wow, what a total badass. I got all wet. It's ironic, knowing he even posed for a picture at the White House while overseeing his drug operations. He unleashed a massive flood of drugs nationwide, especially in Miami. People went wild for the product's quality, and if that unchecked epidemic hadn't been contained, Miami would certainly have devolved into the Philadelphia we see today, with zombies rampant on every corner getting fentanyl. I mean, my goodness, this has truly been impressive. The Philadelphia police no longer go with pistols, they have to go with damn ray guns, with Narcan to stop that plague. That's why apprehending Pablo Escobar was fundamentally crucial for the United States. Let the people eat fruit, for crying out loud. But let's return to our starting point, right back to where it all began. On December 1st, 1949, Pablo Escobar was born into a lower middle-class family in Medellin, where he didn't lack food on the table, but he couldn't afford the Simpsons cookies either. But something interesting about him from a very young age was his ambition. Rather than just ambition, it was genuinely an addiction he harbored for both money and power. He quickly grasped that he could amass wealth illegally by engaging in certain illicit acts, such as pilfering gravestones and stealing vehicles to later dismantle and sell for individual components. But let's see, at the end of the day, what's cooler? Working 9 hours a day in an office or running while the police are chasing you? What would truly awaken him to the realities of illicit trade was the dealing of smuggled cigarettes. Through this, he would fully grasp the inner workings of distribution networks, circumventing the state to illegally transport goods and subsequently peddle them to children as easily as if they were simple smints. No, a hero without a cape, since it improves testicular concentration in the back of the skull for complex tasks. I'm not gonna hide it, okay? I smoke to act tough with my friends. Ubu. In my hometown, they called us the picky cancers. I'm just joking, you know? I don't smoke. Always say no to semen cancer. The thing is, he realized it was a piece of cake to bring illegal products into foreign countries. So he had a change of mindset and decided to do the exact same thing, but with what truly brings in the big money, cocaine. He began gradually with a few trusted associates, expanding and amassing progressively more wealth. Ultimately, Pablo, with his entrepreneurial spirit, established the Medellin cartel. Here, he oversaw cocaine production in remote jungle laboratories, facilitated its transport using submarines and aircraft, thereby controlling over 80% of the illicit market, and actively bribed politicians and military officials, cops and everything else, all to protect his lucrative business. He was known for his famous saying, "Money or bullets. I will give you a large sum of money, and if you don't take it, I'm going to kill you." And he truly was a man of his word, you know? He wasn't your typical village guy saying, "This dude shorted me 10 grams. He delivered on everything. He was making so much money that he bought a huge private estate of over 3,000 hectares. To give you an idea of just how insane this is, that's equivalent to 4,000 soccer fields, 10 Central Parks, or 50 times the entire size of Vatican City. Oh, and the Pope? Well, he's totally gone. This estate would be called Hacienda Nápoles, where he possessed everything one could imagine. A private zoo, an entire landing strip, and numerous mansions. Even a statue of John Lennon, for those who might not know. He's from that famous band called Nirvana. Oh wait, what am I even saying, Nirvana? Damn, I'm totally losing my mind, aren't I? I mean, the one from the Rolling Stones, and you might be asking, doesn't he live a life full of worry? Doesn't he live in fear, knowing the government is right behind him? Well, Pablo had several problems. One of them was that he couldn't launder all the money, since we're talking millions. So he decided to hide the cash in various spots. One of them, Hacienda Nápoles itself, suffered significant losses. with between 10 and 15% of its total assets being lost each year due to humidity, mold, and rats that consume vast amounts of money. Meanwhile, the United States had strong suspicions that Pablo Escobar was indeed responsible for all those tons of cocaine. So the United States was pressuring the Colombian government to investigate the case, and if the allegations proved true, they demanded his extradition and prosecution under U.S. laws to ensure a harsher, more impactful sentence. This was because if he were to be judged by the Colombian government, he could effortlessly bribe judges and political figures, securing his freedom mere moments after being incarcerated. Literally, it reminds me of this meme from that famous show, The Simpsons. Oh wait, what am I even saying? What an impact, huh? Pablo was scared stiff and would do absolutely everything to avoid being extradited because, in his own words, "I prefer a grave in Colombia to a jail cell in the United States." So he made an impressive, almost surreal move, entering politics to change any laws that he believes could potentially impact him, specifically preventing his own extradition. So he presented himself as a thriving entrepreneur, a benevolent individual, and pledged a significant portion of his wealth to political campaigns, aiming to uplift communities living in dire poverty. He did this by constructing entire neighborhoods, complete with homes, soccer fields, hospitals, and public schools, all within one of the most impoverished and government-neglected areas, striving to gain the power and the vote of the people. He earned the moniker Colombian Robin Hood, and even though he appears to be a good person, we're not done yet, because he would eventually become an enthusiast of bombs. But what Pablo Escobar didn't realize is that it's not Christmas every day. The Minister of Justice, Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, publicly exposed his past criminal activities right there in the midst of Congress. And Pablo Escobar stares intently at him from his chair with a truly paralyzing gaze. About a month later, the man who had publicly accused Pablo Escobar was shot 7 times and tragically killed.
The Minister of Justice unjustly accused me, and I have formally charged him with a criminal complaint for the crime of slander, a transgression for which the Colombian Penal Code prescribes a penalty of 1 to 4 years of imprisonment.
I am no drug trafficker. Yours truly, Pablo Escobar. The war against the Colombian state then commenced. The United States and Colombia also signed cooperation agreements. It was a period of horror as the war against extradition began. There were daily terror attacks, including assassinations of public figures and car bombs that destroyed important buildings. Perhaps the most insane thing Pablo ordered was the bombing of an airplane with 110 people on board. His goal was to assassinate presidential candidate Cesar Gaviria, who, as it happened, wasn't even on that flight because he had changed his plans at the very last minute. Pablo cared absolutely nothing for those on board. He solely wished to achieve his objective, regardless of how much blood was spilled along the way. A few months later, that same politician would be elected president and offer a policy called submission to justice. If you turn yourself in, you won't be extradited to the United States. Pablo finally accepted the deal, but with one condition. He'd build his own prison, and I say that with huge air quotes because that house was going to be better than all our houses combined. It had a nightclub, a jacuzzi, luxurious rooms with high-quality mattresses, and a dance floor where, honestly, I'd probably just wake up at 6 a.m. for a quickie, followed by some morning cocaine. To get that vitamin Z woo, the Colombian government had no access whatsoever inside the cathedral, and as you can well imagine, he continued to run his criminal enterprise with absolute freedom, even eliminating his own associates for alleged betrayal. He would jot their names down on a list. Pepe and Santiago must be eliminated. This bastard was the first one to have his own death note, if you think about it. So the government then ordered him to be relocated to a proper, actual prison, but Pablo was like, nope, and then he just broke out of that prison. No way. How could that be? How did he escape? It was supposed to be maximum security. Who set him free? It's a not.
Pablo Escobar is wanted. There's a reward of 2,700 million pesos. And for each of these fugitives, the sum of 100 million pesos. John Jairo Velázquez, Luis Carlos Aguilar, Otoniel González, Ibrahim Muñoz Mosquera.
Imagine seeing this at 3 in the morning during the height of narco-terrorism. I'd at least have to crank one out to that. Pablo Escobar hid in remote farms and changed his hideout every few weeks so he couldn't be tracked, since it wasn't just the police looking for them. Pablo Escobar's former allies founded, check out the name, huh? Los Pepes, to get revenge on Pablo Escobar. And the Colombian government would create the Search Block, a special forces unit created solely for the capture of Pablo Escobar. The dismantling of the entire Medellin cartel network, together with the DEA, was at the center of an orgy. Pablo wanted to send his family to Germany for safety, but the Germans rejected his request. My bombo clot is 1% Jewish. Get out of here, you children of the race people. May everyone be from the race people. Things were much better governed when the race people were in charge. He was super paranoid, no longer trusting even his own people, and would only have one associate known as El Limon. And the gravest error he would commit was engaging in lengthy and frequent phone conversations with his son, as the search block managed to intercept the call, allowing them to encircle the house with 30 agents. Instantly, Pablo knew that the ones trying to get in were the DEA and the search block. So, amidst the intense shootout, they dashed to the rooftop where several more individuals were awaiting them, eventually leading to El Iman's death, until at last an agent put a bullet into Pablo Escobar's head. Why am I making the ground appear like a level from Plants vs. Zombies? His family firmly believes that he deliberately took his own life to avoid being captured, having previously sworn to them that he would shoot himself before ever facing apprehension. Various credible sources confirm that Pablo Escobar himself never consumed his own illicit product, as it would cause him to make very poor decisions. The man most addicted to cocaine never actually used it himself. Walter, how's the merchandise looking? Farewell, Pablo Escobar. We shall remember you as, I'm not sure, perhaps gay. So, since you've stuck around till the very end, make sure to vote for the next video. Because not only will you be able to vote, but you'll also get a new exclusive video from me on my second channel, playing this PS Stu thing. And before you vote, subscribe and hit the bell, that's the most important thing. This way, you'll support the disintegration of France. So I'm sending you a huge kiss, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Ciao! But funnily enough, there are theories that were surprisingly real. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about them, from the most modern ones, like the dead internet, to the shadiest ones discovered through CIA documents. My most extreme fear is on the verge of being realized, waking up dismembered in India.